Okay, it's recording now.
Hi, welcome to Anna's Place, the site where you can find diverse cards in all subjects. Let me tell you a little bit about Anna and why she decided to make these cards. I've had an opportunity to go through generations of all kinds of things. I was part of the segregation movement. I was part of the civil rights movement. And being an educator, I was part of making sure that youngsters learn to read, write, and do mathematics. Most of the cards will depict those subjects. The subjects of family, where families are together showing love. Families are together in church, and of course, showing the minister in the church with his congregation. Most of the cards will tell the story just by looking at the picture. For example, during my generation, you had to iron your clothes. They were not polyester. You had to get your starch and your iron, and you spent most of your time, most of the day, ironing your clothes. So you will find a card that will say, I'm so tired. Someday I'm going to be Cinderella, meaning that I won't have to do this ironing anymore. During the civil rights movement, there were many things that occurred. You had your freedom riders, you had your being thrown in jail in Birmingham, Martin Luther King, and some of those that actually protested with him. And you also had the sit-ins where many African Americans were not permitted to sit and eat in white establishments. These are not negative cards. These are positive cards telling the history of a people. And I hope that as you view them, that is how you will see them. You will see children on the yard playing, because that's what I did in my occupation. I dealt with many children of all ethnicities. You will see children holding on to their mom and their dad's hand with brothers and sisters. Why? Because we all have a respect for families, and having brothers and sisters and a mom and dad is important to every child. As you view these sites or these pictures or cards, I certainly hope that you will appreciate what they really mean, because they have been done from the heart. And when I say from the heart, it's like trying to tell a story to those who were not there. Maybe you were very young, or maybe you're just like me, a senior citizen and now very old. But I want the story to be told with love and sincerity, and by someone who actually lived it. One of the cards shows that you can be in the car with your family, because on Sundays, if you didn't have any money, the children would get in the car, we as children would get in the car, and our parents would take us around the city for a ride. And that was our sightseeing trip. I remember going to South Pasadena as a 7-year-old. And I'm way, way far from 7 now, but that same sign is there. In addition, as an administrator, I work with many community groups. So you will see police officers, fire officers interacting with children, because they became their adopters. When children were having problems, we would depict the officers holding their hands, or maybe having breakfast or lunch with them. The site itself is designed for everyone. There is no distinct color line. Black, blue, purple, green. The ideas are all the same because we've all lived similar lives. And those lives tell the story. Years back, Indians used to write on the cave walls. They didn't have the paints nor the paper and pencil to write their story. So they would carve their stories on the wall. And you could go back and read them just through pictures. And that's what I've tried to do with Anna's Place. There'll be cards put up either on a weekly or monthly basis, so you will always have something different to view. I hope that you will enjoy them. I think they're whimsical, they're humorous, and they really have love. We basically, I mentioned earlier about being involved in segregation. You will find cards that will say voting booth. You will find cards that will say we serve colored only. You will find cards that will say things that actually occurred. I think the one card that is most meaningful to me is called Four Little Girls, where four little girls went to Sunday school in their Sunday best, their white dresses and their shoes. Unfortunately, due to the civil rights movement and some very, very mean people, cruel people, they never returned home because the church they were attending was bombed. And you will see four little girls holding their hands. And for me, having been of that generation, it brings tears to my eyes. But it also brings back the fact of how far we have come. In addition, there is that whole thing of playing our music, which is everyone's music. You will see a guitar player sitting on an old stool or old bench, playing probably something like Muddy Waters or B.B. King or Lightning Hopkins, because at that time the blues told a story. You didn't need to have therapy because the blues was your therapy. It didn't cost you $150. You just made up the song and you started to sing. Initially, when there were no guitars, you could take a board and a wire and you could hammer that wire to the board and just pick it. And that's what they talk about. He was really picking that guitar, or she was picking that guitar. Reading, writing, listening, sharing, all of those things give meaning to life. And they're things that many children these days have never heard of. For like bathing in a tub. Not a bathtub, but a tub. Where on a Saturday night before going to church, your grandparents or your mom would put you in a tub with warm water and you had to take your bath because the next day you know you were going to church. And going to church, we didn't have a car at that time. We had a wagon. So you will see pictures of my grandfather in the wagon with all of my cousins. And there was a joke my cousin used to have. And she said, "We always thought you were so silly." And I said, "Why?" She said, "We would be riding in the wagon to church because the roads were all bumpy. And you would have a hill and another bumpy road." And she said, "Every time we would go down that hill, you would fall out laughing." And we couldn't understand that. I said, "Well, let me tell you why. For me, that hill was a roller coaster, and it was fun." So, again, welcome to Anna's site. Enjoy what you see. If you have any ideas or suggestions of pictures that you would like to have depicted, please leave me a blog, and I would appreciate knowing it, and I will try to add some additional cards. Thank you, and again, this is Anna. Goodbye.